Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for having me. This is really a great topic, and I'm very happy to be with you to discuss bikers and the law. Before I start with my actual presentation, of course, I would like to acknowledge and thank everyone who made this event possible. We have, of course, Rappler, we have AltMobility Philippines, the guests who are here today, PNP Highway Patrol Group Chief General Alan Nazaro, our political secretary for the Netherlands, Eva Oskam. I think Angat Buhay is also involved in this. I heard from Ira and everyone else who's made this possible. I've always believed that public transport is really not about moving cars, but moving people. And I've also believed in having a green environment, and biking really brings these two advocacies together. With that, I'd like to share screen and show you start with my slides. Okay. Are we good? Can everyone see the slides?
Yes, attorney.
Thank you. All right. First things first, I think it's important that we begin by emphasizing that all bikers have a right to be on the road. And this, now, no less than our Supreme Court has pronounced that in several cases. In the 2004 case, the court described how biking is very helpful to us, provides considerable speed and freedom of movement, and a certain charm from being unencumbered by any enclosure, affording the perception of relative liberty. That's a legalese for meaning that biking really feels good. I know because I do bike myself. You know, that feeling of being open out there and feeling the wind and everything else, wala namang kapalit yun. But even more than that, our courts have recognized that bicyclists occupy and have legal rights in the same manner that motorists and motor vehicles do. This is a more recent case where the court said the bicycle occupies a legal position that is at least equal to that of other vehicles lawfully on the highway. In fact, our Department of Transportation, in one of its department orders, said pretty much the same thing. Pedestrians and cyclists have the same right to use the road as a motor vehicle. One of the problems, however, is that our motorists, many of our drivers, don't seem to know that or to understand that and think that because they're in their nice cars, on air conditioned most of the time, they have right of way over anyone, even pedestrians and even bikers. Just to emphasize, bikers, we have an equal right to the road. We deserve respect from motorists, and we should not be treated as nuisances. Responsibly sharing the road with bikers, and here I'm addressing our car drivers, it's not a concession, it's really a legal duty. There are several things, though, that I think we must understand, especially from the perspective of those who operate motor vehicles. One is that, and again, this is recognized by the Supreme Court, the drivers of motor vehicles can inflict a lot of damage because of their capability to speed the vehicle itself, the body of the vehicle. So many factors that really make bikers more vulnerable when they are on the road with motor vehicles. In fact, the DOTR, I think they were probably inspired by President Magsaysay, who said those who have less in law should have more in life, has come out with the saying that those who have less in wheels must have more in road. But the upshot of this is that motor vehicle drivers really must exercise extra care around bikers. The common emotion, I think, because I also have driven cars, I've been in Grab cars and also have been a rider of cars, is that many of our drivers don't understand this. They think that the emotion that they usually have is one of anger or irritation when they have to deal with bicyclists. But take note, our Supreme Court has been very categorical in saying that drivers of cars must use a greater degree of care, of course, because their machines are capable of greater destruction. But I like especially this old decision. This is a 1912 decision, which still applies today, where the court said, as a, for operators of automobiles, it's really not pleasant to have to slow down to accommodate pedestrians or people who are walking, or I think this applies as well to those using bicycles. It's probably more agreeable to send the machine along and let the horse or person get out of the way in the best manner possible. But it should be understood that if this is done and an accident occurs, the driver will have to account for his or her acts. So it's been more than 100 years since this decision has come out. That is, of course, part of the law of the land. But unfortunately, as we have seen in so many different aspects of life in the Philippines, the enforcement of these principles really has not been, it's really been a failure, basically. Okay, now, what should what should motorists know about, about dealing with and having issues with bicycles? Well, first of all, the first rule is that if you're driving a car or any kind of motor vehicle, you're not allowed to cross into, much less park in bicycle lanes or pedestrian lanes. But I've been asked this question, and I've asked this question myself. How about when you're turning, there's an intersection, there's a street corner, and you have to turn right? Wala kang choice. You would have to enter or cross the bike lane, assuming that the road has a bike lane. So I asked other lawyers who really deal with transportation issues, and this is the explanation to me. They said, if you see a solid green painted line, or just say a solid painted line, which indicates a bike lane, then you shouldn't cross or enter. But that line should be staggered, para siyang mga nakadash, as you approach the corner. That's usually it should be around 30 meters from the corner. That solid line should turn into a staggered line, and that means that you can cross into it in order for you to turn right. This is for the drivers. And of course, when you are driving and you pass or overtake someone on a bike, then you give them sufficient clearance, minimum of 1 meter, watch your speed, pass slowly and smoothly, and please avoid using your horns, because that can startle cyclists and cause accidents rather than prevent them. When we're turning, if we're driving a motor vehicle, we should make sure that there's no bicycle or motorcycle on the right. I've seen so many accidents, especially with motorcycles, where drivers of cars assume that because they have their right turn light on and that they're already turning, that motor vehicles and bikes will stop. But I've learned myself, as one who drives a car, I always check to make sure that there's nobody to my right, and even as I'm turning, I look at my right side mirror just to make sure that there's nothing there that I didn't spot earlier. Another thing is for motorists and also passengers of motor vehicles, make sure that before you open your door, you check outside to see if any bike or motorcycle is passing. I've noticed, for example, as you approach malls, this has happened to me and several friends of mine. If you don't look before you open your door when you're about to go out, let's say in a mall, there are some motorcycle drivers who really will cut you because they have their own passengers and want to bring their passenger down. So ilang beses na yan na nagka-aksidente sa mall because this is really more for motorcycles than bicycles, because you don't check your door before you open it. And lastly, check your blind spots. Make sure that you don't you know won't get into an accident because you didn't get to see either a car or some other vehicle around your car. But that's one side of it. The other side is, of course, for bikers. We have to make sure that we are also responsible for our own safety. Per the OTR the guidelines, bikers are required to wear proper safety gear and equipment, a properly fitted helmet, then bright clothing or a reflectorized vest. And if you're biking at night or in the early morning, you should use lamps and reflectors. Meron bang speed limit ang mga biker? Well, the recommended maximum speed in bike lanes is 25 kilometers per hour. Although I don't know many bicycles that have speedometers. All right. When sharing the road, I think bikers should, of course, also obey traffic regulations, signs, and traffic signs. As a biker, you cannot assume that you're exempted from the usual traffic rules. You must give way as well to pedestrians and prioritize them. Physical distancing, and this is not really COVID related, but rather making sure that you won't brush into anyone or cause an accident. You're not allowed to use headphones, other noise canceling devices, or mobile devices unless permitted for work. For example, if you're engaged in the delivery service or for navigation purposes. We are required to use hand signals to indicate what we're going to do, if you're turning left or right, slowing or stopping, or to alert other road users to hazards on the road. And keep your bike in control, meaning that at least one of your hands must be on the handlebars at all times. And all of these that I'm sharing with you come from regulations that we've compiled. Here are more. As much as possible, travel in a straight line with your head up, looking 1.5 to 2 blocks forward. In unprotected or unsegregated bike lanes, ride at least 3 feet from parked cars if the road condition permits. And watch out for unexpected opening of parked car doors. Watch out for obstacles. I usually keep an eye out, especially for potholes or drainage covers, because they can cause you to fall or get into an accident. Look over your shoulder before making turns. Be aware of motor vehicles turning, especially when you're dealing with big trucks and other similar kinds of vehicles. They really can't see much because of their height. So, kailangan tayo yung iingat. And of course, the suggestion, plan routes out before you leave so you know where you're going and you won't get lost or have to stop midway. Now, let's go more into the law and talk about what happens if there's an accident. Of course, the basic rule is that the party that's negligent is the party that will be liable. The basic law that applies when you speak of any kind of road accidents really is the law on negligence. But you may be wondering, what if someone deliberately runs you off the road? Then, of course, that's actionable. That person can be held liable, but that would now no longer be negligence. That would be intentional and may even constitute a crime in itself. If you get injured, for example, seriously, that could be grounds for serious physical injury or other kinds of crimes. But generally, I'd say 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it's really issues of negligence that come up when you speak of road accidents. Can you be negligent? Is there a crime that covers negligence? Well, yes, we'll get to that in a while. That is what is called reckless imprudence. But first, let's talk about civil liability, which is really one of damages. That's covered by the Civil Code. And allow me for a minute just to talk like a lawyer and say, Whoever by act or omission causes damage to another, there being fault or negligence, is obliged to pay for the damage done. Alam niyo naman yung mga abogado kung paano magsalita walang nakakaintindi. But basically, what does that mean? What it means is that if you're at fault or if you're negligent and you cause damage, then you should pay for what you did. What's the legal definition of negligence? Well, it's the failure to observe that degree of care, precaution, and vigilance which the circumstances justly demand. Yeah. What happens? Okay, part of our jurisprudence is the presumption that if a driver of a motor vehicle was violating any traffic regulation at the time of the collision or accident, then that driver is presumed negligent. So kung ano man klaseng regulation ay nilabag niya, that would be covered by this presumption. And another principle of law is that when a party's own negligence causes their own injuries, they cannot recover damages. But if that negligence was only contributory, then the courts will mitigate the damages to be awarded. So in a nutshell, what you see on the screen are the basic legal principles that apply when incidents happen on the road that do not involve deliberate acts. Ibang usapan yung road rage types of cases where they try to run you over or make you fall off the side of the road. That would most likely constitute a criminal act, and you could also recover civil damages for that. So let's move to criminal liability. As I mentioned, the law punishes reckless imprudence, which basically is negligence, but negligence of a degree that is reckless. So it's failing to do an act from which material damage results by reason of inexcusable lack of precaution. So mapapansin nyo, may konting pagkakaiba yung definition ng negligence under for civil cases and negligence under criminal law, which really is what's known as reckless type or reckless imprudence. So what should we do? If an accident happens, the first thing I would suggest is document it as soon as you can. It's always good to have either a phone, or I would also suggest if you have a helmet or handlebar cam, just like they have dash cams in cars, that's a good idea, because then you're always sure that whatever happens on the road, you have documentation. If an accident happens, of course we don't want that, pero kung mangyari, make sure you have the numbers of all the hotlines in your phone. MMDA, LTO, LGU, PNP, and I would add even emergency services for people who get injured. So it's a good idea to save that on your phone and have access to it when things like this happen. Document the scene, take pictures of everything, the more the better, especially identifications of the vehicles involved, pati driver's license ng nagmamaneho ng kotse, pictures of course of the damage or the injury, where it happened. All of those are important in terms of documentation. Then you would also want, this is both for insurance purposes and for your own protection, to obtain a police report or what's known as a traffic accident investigation report, or if none, execute a notarized affidavit regarding the incident. If the incident involves a motor vehicle driver, get his or her driver's license, take a picture of it, ORCR of the vehicle, contact details, description, year, model, and make of the vehicle. And last but not least, if the driver admits fault, then you can explore the possibility of settling it, the matter with them, without any more having to go to court or even having to go to the police station to report it. finally, and this is my last slide. While there are several bills in both houses on for the biking community, wala pa tayong napasang batas. So we currently don't have a law specifically for the development of bikeable communities. I'm speaking of national laws. There may be local laws in some progressive local governments that have enacted ordinances, but the national laws is still in the works. I would encourage everyone in the biking community to get involved in policy making and to lobby our legislators to pass laws because bikers really, you play a very substantial role in terms of providing alternative transport that's healthy, clean, green, and inexpensive compared to other forms of transport. Kaya ito'y dapat suportahan ng ating pamahalaan. And that's it. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Attorney Chell. So now we are going to move on to the interactive portion of our program. So we will have an open forum and a panel discussion with Attorney Chell, also with General Nazaro. Is he? Ayan. Hi, General. So if you could make your way here po to the front. And as also, I believe Attorney Anthony Sanchez is also going to join our panel. So we have two officials from the HPG who are going to be part of our panel. Please do think of your questions now. We also have, of course, Attorney Chell, our main resource person. And joining us also is Ira and Iya Gozum, who is our environment reporter. And if you watched yung documentary about biking on Rappler, si Iya yung gumawa nun. So Iya is here with us. And na-realize ko lang na watching Attorney Chell's presentation that this is the kind of presentation that we should actually make drivers watch also, car drivers. I think we must have another event just for car drivers so they also understand what we talked about today. Sige, so... Alright. Okay, medyo musical chairs tayo. Okay. Alright, sige. So, I'm sure we all have questions, but usually pag open forum, no, like people need some time to think of a question. So I would want to start the live panel with my own questions. Pero baka may tanong din kayo, Ira and Iya, from that presentation. But siguro I can start with my own because it's actually something that happened to me recently. And this question is for Attorney Chell. So Attorney Chell, you mentioned that the liable party is usually the negligent party. Recently, I saw a biker who was on Katipunan Avenue. He had fallen over and he had been basically parang the impact on the road was that naging paralyzed siya. But I noticed also that he was not wearing a helmet. So, Attorney Chell, pag ganyan, who would it be that it's his fault na hindi siya nag-helmet? Like, what would be the liability there? But he was seriously injured. I could see that he had been paralyzed. He was writhing in a way that suggested may major impact to his nervous system. Pag ganun, sir, what would happen? What would you suggest, especially for cyclists who usually bike alone? And diba, no one is there to, sometimes they fall, walang ibang tao, or people would come to their aid late na hindi na-document yung nangyari. So what would you suggest in those scenarios? And what would be the liability of the cyclist in that scenario na hindi siya naka-helmet?
I think it would depend a lot on the circumstances. It could be considered as contributory negligence, which would mean that the damages that he or she could recover would be mitigated, mababawasan. But it would depend as well on the kind of negligence that came from the motorist. So it's very hard to give a categorical answer, but the three principles I mentioned earlier, those are what would apply.
All right, okay. I have a second question. If anyone has a question, please do raise your hand. You can also send it to the Livable Cities chat room. Sige, yeah, perfect. Sige, Karen from Bicycle Friendly Philippines is with us.
Hello, good afternoon. This happened to me maybe last year. I was biking up. I was on the bike lane. I was on Tikling. There was no traffic whatsoever. And two people, one was on a motorcycle with a sidecar. They hung on to my bike, which caused me to fall. So naturally, I was very angry, I admit. I really yelled at the top of my voice with matching swear words and all, which they took against me, and they were saying that I was, saying bad words, etc., etc. But however, because being Spider Woman, I was able to fall properly and not injure myself. However, I did fall, and this was, because in your slide, Attorney Shell, you said if an accident happens, I can't even call it an accident because they held on to my bike and caused me to fall. I'm sorry for the PNP here, but I have to say that when I went to the PNP, their question to me was more like, nasaktan ho ba kayo? So this is something that happens very often when we see that the question is always, are you hurt? Because if you're not hurt, then, it's like go on your merry way. So how can we address this? Because, we don't always, I tried my best to document it. I tried my best to report it to the barangay, because what was most painful about this was because the vehicle was a barangay-owned vehicle. So it was, again, like a double whammy that the barangay that's supposed to protect you was also violating themselves. So how can we further really make this, make them have a penalty? Because mentally I was hurt. But how can we address this further? Because not everybody has the time to also really follow through.
Yes. Injury is very important if you're speaking of civil or criminal liability. But if in your case, because the people involved were from the barangay, you could have, I think, filed complaints, administrative complaints, and brought the matter up not only with the barangay, but with the DILG. Because they were using an official barangay vehicle. And like you said, it was not negligence, it was a deliberate act that they held on to your bike. If this was done because of your being a woman, then that could also constitute discrimination. That may constitute a violation of the Safe Spaces Act or other laws that protect against that type of discrimination. Kung ganon, no, there would be no requirement of physical injury.
To add on, they were also pala drunk. And I did report it. I brought it to the barangay. But, all the barangay did was, let's do the pablotter po natin. And then further, I went to the PNP. And again, they said, kailan po ito nangyari? Kanina pa. Sana on the spot ninyo ni-report. There's a lot of, because of the time, it's almost like they don't want you to report because it will take up so much of your time. So I'm hoping that what you presented and what police, also PNP presented, would really be able to generate more awareness so that the PNP will also be more helpful, as well as the enforcers.
If I may suggest as well to AltMob and all the organizations here, maybe we can get some celebrities to give some of their time to come up with some kind of materials online and on traditional media to change that mindset na just because you're on a bike, pwede kang that people can do anything to you. I've seen it happen myself, and it's really not fair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Shell. We'll work with you in that, definitely.
Sige. Oh, you have follow-up? Sige.
Just a follow-up question sa shinare ni Ms. Karen. I'm wondering if there are precedent cases na nagko-complain yung babae ng harassment on the road. Kasi in general, mahirap naman na talagang mag-complain ng harassment, kailangan ng documentation, and doubly mas mahirap pa siya on the road kasi passing motorist yung mangkakatcall sa'yo. So I was wondering if merong precedent cases na that we could, na naging successful when it comes to complaining the perpetrator.
Okay. Sige.
I'm not aware of any But there could be, although I'm not aware of any cases.
All right. Sige. Before pala we ask your question, let's also introduce yourselves and and your affiliation if ever.
Question on this side. You can go to the question on this side. Yeah.
I guess, hi, good afternoon. My name is Robert. I've been a bike commuter for 7 years. Siguro parang in response to that, I can share my own experience in trying to file a case. I think before that though, one thing, Attorney Chell, I'd like to maybe like respectfully dispute is I think the idea that most cases of I guess like conflict on the road are caused by negligence. I would say when you mentioned that maybe 90 to 95% of cases are basically matters of negligence. I think for most bikers, I think most people in this room, you can tell when a driver is really trying to drive into you. And I think for many of us, most of the time it happens. Parang you can tell parang based on the body language ng car, whether the guy is parang on his phone lang or talagang parang he's really trying to drive into you. In our case, we knew it because nagbaba siya ng window, sinigawan kami. And the long story short, it ended up with him coming down from his car. May threats pa sa amin na parang, well, it was basically like, hindi directed sa amin, pero basically these were threats made in the presence of barangay officials. Parang they were saying so that we could overhear na parang pag yung asawa ko, parang pag di siya pinigilan ba, sasagasahan niya yung mga yan. Parang ganun. In our case naman, we tried our best to file with all the appropriate authorities, knowing that there was clearly the intention to hurt us based on the threats. We tried actually to go to the police station. It was a police station in Makati at the time. My own experience there, hindi ko na po matandaan yung pangalan ng officer dun, pero the experience I had was that yung impression po ng officer dun, long story short, ay sir, nagkaalitan lang po kayo, parang dun nyo i-resolve sa LTO, hindi po yun criminal matter. So, I think at the time, basically, parang hindi siya, I think, in a place na tatanggapin niya yung kahit anong filing na gusto ko. Pinablatter ko po siya sa 2 barangay because it happened in the course of 2 barangays. Then we also filed the complaint sa LTO. Right now, the status is basically, there's a copy of the CCTV footage which was saved by a private establishment. It's awaiting further information. But then sa LTO, essentially, pinadalhan ng show cause yung registered owner ng kotse. Right now, they haven't showed up to any show cause. If they try to register their vehicle, they will be alerted. And I think at that point, we will find out the name of the assigned driver. Kasi I believe company car po siya based on yung filing namin. But I think in that case, what I want to ask is, how can we change the perception that most of these cases, syempre parang are cases of like simple negligence. And I think siguro, how can we also change that attitude in terms of like dealing with our enforcement agencies, many of whom also want to dismiss these cases as cases of simple negligence when we know that's not the case.
I
Well,
think the
first of
question
all-
is directed to both Attorney Chell and I think to the PNP as well. Attorney Chell.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I would just like to give some advice to everyone who suffers the same kind of ordeal. If you report the matter to the authorities but no action is taken, you don't have to leave it there. You can approach a lawyer, engage the services of a lawyer, and you don't need the law enforcers, for example, to file the complaint for you because you were the victim yourself. So, for example, if threats were made, then that could constitute grave threats under the revised penal code, or depending on what was said, if there was an attempt to drive you off the road, there may be either criminal or civil cases that could be filed that you can file on your own, as long as you have the assistance of a lawyer. Now, I'm happy you mentioned that because my own perception about that there are a lot of incidents that are intentional. Because my own perception was that was more of negligence. It's sad to hear that, but perhaps what we also need is to change a mindset of many drivers of motor vehicles who yung bang either nagagalit o naiinis sila pag nakakita pa lang sila ng mga siklista. One way that we can do that, I believe, would be really through social media and through traditional media. And here we can probably enlist the help of others whom people would look up to or whom people know as personalities. Thank you.
Sir, Just an addition po dun sa input ni Attorney Shell. On the part of the Philippine National Police po, always we are doing our job for investigation, and we are always, we do not take sides po. But again, doon po sa ating criminal justice system is we also do endorse settlement. Siguro po sa inyo, sir, yung nangyari sa inyo on the assessment of the police officer on that day, no, on that note is they find it na that is an LTO concern. So on their best judgment po, ni-refer nila kayo sa LTO. And on that note, that is part and parcel of the duty of the police officers, na hindi lang po tayo nagpa-file ng case, but also we encourage settlement between the parties po. And same with ma'am po, kanina po, siguro on that note, yung pong nangyari sa inyo, by way of assessing the degree of the injury, tinanong po sa inyo na nasaktan po ba kayo. Siguro medyo sarcastic lang po yung dating, but that is one way of ascertaining the degree of injury, which we find it very important in investigating the case po. Sige po.
Sir, it could have been worse. It could have been worse because if I didn't know how to fall, then it could have been worse. But what I'm trying to say is, how can we prevent, or really report and make it? Because I understand what you're saying, that the police will ask me, am I hurt? But at the same time, there was some slight injury, but at that point, you can't just say, yes, I'm hurt, because you cannot physically see it. So I think maybe that's where we need to really raise awareness with the
Yes, po.
organizations.
We understand po.
This, just a follow-up for a more specific. For General Nazar and Attorney Sanchez, ano po ba yung kailangan yung proof to prove that it was intentional? Like, what would be sufficient proof from cyclists to show that the driver intentionally tried to hurt them? Video lang po ba yung pinaka-proof na sufficient?
Actually,
or-
that would be based on case-to-case circumstances. Say for example, pag yung kagaya ng sinabi po ni Sir, na very evident naman yung na talagang dadaanan ka na, that would be some sort of a case na intentional na yung gagawin sa'yo. So on that note, sabihin na natin that is intentional, that would be a different degree of crime that can be filed against the driver of the motor vehicle kung sakali.
Pero to prove that, he would have to show video, or else it would be a he said, she said kind of thing? Paano ba yun?
Having a video is other pieces of evidence that may be that we can have, but again, hindi naman po natin kailangan ng video lagi na to prove na there as an that crime exists. So there could be an eyewitnesses or some other persons, as the case may be, that would tell na these circumstances happened other than videos po. Yun po.
Salamat po. Any more questions? Yes, sige. Yes.
Sorry, to build on, actually, ako yung kasama niya when it happened. It was a super abridged version. The driver tried to hit us 3 times, and he tried to he opened the door to hit one of us while we were biking. And then when he came down, binatukan niya yung isang kasama namin. So super abridged version. My question is, we did want to file a criminal case, but we didn't know their names. We still don't know their names. So my question is there an amount of time within which we should file these things? Or considering the circumstances, would we still be allowed to file the case?
I think that would still be within the prescriptive period. What year did this happen?
2021? 2022.
Yeah, pwede pa naman. And in terms of the identities of the persons involved, you will need the assistance of some law enforcement units or the LTO, as well as perhaps the NBI might also be able to help. Medyo malala yung nangyari sa inyo, hearing your your story, I mean, it really doesn't sound good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, Jerry has a question. Jerry, would you like to?
Hi, I'm Jerry Amarnani. I'm from the Pinay Bike Commuter community. And sir, marami akong notes. Actually, gusto ko na talagang magsalita kasi baka dumami pa yung notes ko. Pero I hope ma-address po natin to kasi as one of the admin of the all-women Pinay Bike Commuter community group, for the past 4 years, I've been reading a lot of private conversations inside the community. And sometimes these are very, very heavy topics that we discuss. Kasi as you may know, almost 50% of the group, of the people here inside Rappler are women. And you should know that this matter is very, very important for us. That's why we are here and we want to listen how you can empower us more. So, sir, nabanggit niyo po kasi government hotlines, MMDA, LTO, LGU, PNP. Hindi po ba pwedeng puntahan din on the onset yung barangay? Tapos sir, I know yung nangyari kay Rob, ni-refer siya sa LTO, yung iba sa amin i-refer sa ibang agency. Baka po pwedeng magkaroon ng one-stop shop na hindi na namin kailangan i-relive yung story kasi every time we say it to the PNP or sa barangay, it's very traumatizing for us, especially for us women cyclists na harassment or sexual harassment yung nangyari sa daan, hindi lang pangbubuli. Tapos yun nga tinanong ni Ro sa settlement po kasi kadalasan sa mga babae pag nakaka-encounter kami ng bullying sa daan or harassment sa daan, nararattle talaga kami. And sometimes some of us, we don't want to bike for a week, for a month. Can we still file after, pag nahimasmasan na kami after a month, can we still file a case? Can we still go to the authorities to do that? Tapos po, yung common myths, I know this is a myth kasi lagi kong naririnig sa mga conversations sa PBCC na pag may accident daw, bawal mong galawin, wala kang kailangan galawin. Ano ba talaga yung kasi sa amin ay bisikleta, kaya mong itabihan ng mabilis. Ang sasakyan hindi. So dapat mo ba talagang hindi siya galawin? Pagdating po sa pagtitake ng pictures and videos, paano naman po yung mga nagsasabi sa amin na, oy, ano yan, bawal yan, privacy yan. So, paano namin siya, paano namin siya lalabanan? Kasi ang sinasabi niyo po sa amin ngayon, mag-take kami ng videos and photos as much as possible. Tapos, may mga myths and misconceptions din na kailangan i-file mo na siya bago sumunod na araw. Kasi pag hindi mo na na-file, walang visa na siya. Yan yung kadalasan na myths and misconception. Ako po, sir, I'm a bike commuter for almost 10 years. And I have around 3 routes lang from my house to my work. And one of the reasons why I don't want to file a case on harassment or anything kasi I'm a mother and I have 2 kids, young kids. But what protection can I get from the barangay, from the PNP, that if I decide to file, hindi ako matatakot na baka abangan ako neto sa EDSA at kunyari sagasaan niya ako or what? Gumawa siya ng scheme. Should I file a blotter case? What do I need to do? Should I secure some documents? Or actually, sir, talaga I really don't know kasi for so long, I'm just a bike commuter and I really don't know about the law. Tapos, pagdating po sa reporting, as a bystander, can we do something po? Like if we see someone, can we file a case on their behalf? Or a concerned family member or a concerned friend, if a friend told us something that we feel na kailangan i-file siya, can we do something on behalf of that person? And then, yung CCTV po, Ano po ba yun? Is it a formal request? Do you write to them? Do you email them? Kasi hindi naman po lahat may access doon. Tapos kadalasan pong nangyayari sa PBCC, pag naghumihingi sila ng CCTV footage, sabihin nila, ay sorry, hindi gumagana. So ano yun? Kasi ang dating sa akin, parang parang may tinatago kayo or ayaw niyong ipakita. So anong kailangan nating gawin doon? Tapos, lastly, my plea, AltMobility and to the Embassy of Netherlands and to our government partners. First of all, I've been talking to a lot of people to have this kind of forum, especially for women cyclists. So, I'm very grateful for this forum. Thank you so much. If I may further request, I know London, I think they have a campaign on more than a cyclist. It's like you humanize cyclists. It's a very strong campaign because once you humanize cyclists, mag-iiba yung tingin ng mga other road users sa daan. If they know that I'm a mother, kasi I have a big sign behind my bike, pass with care, working mother. And sometimes, I would really feel that some road users are very much forgiving to me because they know I'm a mother. Pero what if hindi ganon? I hope the treatment of cyclists would be the same as when we see a dear friend on the street. Second, lahat na tayo dito matatanda. Ang hirap ng baguhin ang mentality pagdating sa pagbabago. My plea is, can we please start with the children? I would really want to have an education on na naka-embody sa school curriculum. Yun kasi parang umpisahan natin yung pagbabago sa mga bata. Kasi sa mga matatanda, medyo mahirap na talaga siyang baguhin eh. Sorry to say, kailangan ng matinding advocacy para mabago. Pero if we start with children, I think we will be more successful in changing that mindset, in having that next generation na talagang, alam mo yun, kumbaga magtatanggol sa mga siklista. Perfect example would be my children. My 2 sons, I know, it will never be an issue for them if their wife decides to bike in the future because they know their mother bikes. So it's okay. It's not an issue anymore. But still, a lot of women right now would not consider biking. It's because of their male partners are very much restrictive. And I know because of safety. But then, there are a lot of barriers that, women would want to explore, would want to bike, and yet, because of these barriers, they're not allowed to do so. And then, if I may request, Ira, I'm a Cebuana. Batas Bisikleta is very good, but I hope we can have a Tagalog version and a Bisaya version and an Ilonggo version, all kinds of version. Sana. And then, sir, sa PNP, I know we have Women and Child Protection Desk, sir. Sana if we can also identify bike champions within the, so that when we go to PNP, there's a bike champion there that we can go to and ask na parang who knows really what we're going through. Parang ganon. And then, lastly, Netherlands and AltMobility, I hope that there will be a study na pwedeng gawin, barriers on why cyclists, particularly women and vulnerable groups, why they don't file a case. And probably the outcome of that study, we will know how to improve our system and also streamline our system. So yun lang po. I'm so
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry, Thank you very much for a very comprehensive narrative. To answer your questions, for today, we only have English versions of the guide, but we have pre-positioned the Batas Bisikleta guides in several bike shops. Some of them are in Filipino. So we have English and Filipino versions of both the pocket-sized guide as well as the poster. We are working with another organization now. Maybe it's too early to announce, but we are translating the guide into Hiligaynon, into Bisaya, into other dialects, and we are also working with that organization so that we can distribute the material across the country.
Okay, so thank you so much, Jerry. Noted on yung featuring the humanity, yung humanizing cyclists. So we'll look into that. We have a user dun sa ating chat who asked a question. He's actually here, Gan Matthew. So we'd like to call on Gan Matthew. He's there. And for all those pala who want to send a question, baka shy kayo to say it here, but you can do so through the Livable Cities chat room. We're gonna flash a QR code in a bit. Ayan.
Hello. So I'm Matthew Gan. I'm a cyclist and also a member of Ilog Pasiglain. I've noticed kasi as both a driver and cyclist na maraming mga roads dito na parang hinahayaan lang ng mga street lights. Like they either work but they're dim or they don't work at all. And I feel like I've made several complaints actually to some LGUs about this and medyo hindi nila ako ni-respond ng maayos. So I've been wondering, can LGUs be held liable for not maintaining their roads properly, especially dun sa streetlights? Because poor streetlights are actually much more of a bigger concern to me than expecting vehicles to have lights and expecting cyclists to have lights, because there are also road users who are not expected to carry lights, like pedestrians. Do we expect pedestrians to start carrying flashlights now? So that's kind of my question. And what kind of obligations do LGUs have to maintain the road, in legally speaking?
Can I also add like utilities companies and
Hang on a second.
I had basically the same question, especially because the burden of proof to actually prove anything seems frustratingly high. Thank you, Matthew. But yeah, utilities companies that are just putting giant grates in the road, all that type of thing, whether LGUs, construction companies, utilities companies, whoever. So more than just lights, just same question though.
Sige. Attorney Chell, I think that question was for Attorney Chell. Tama ba?
Yes. First of all, you would have to determine who has responsibility for that road, whether it's a national road or it's within the jurisdiction of the local government. Then you would have to make your complaint against the relevant agency. Can governments be liable for negligence? Yes, if injury is caused. But for all of these issues, my first advice always would be to see a lawyer. That's one thing that I think also bikers lack, is access to legal information and to legal assistance. I was suggesting, in fact, to AltMobility that you hook up with law school clinics, because now the Supreme Court has required law schools to provide legal aid through their law students who are supervised by law professors. So that opens up the field for us to seek legal assistance, because if you just rely on the public attorney's office or even the known legal aid groups, we're not enough. We don't really have enough resources and personnel to handle all these cases. If I could address as well several points raised by the lady who made the previous comment. Yes, you can go to the barangay. However, the barangay would only have limited jurisdiction. It would be good so that they can, if the person is from that barangay, perhaps they could help you identify that person. You could also put it on record with them. That's one. Second, yung myth na one day lang, hindi totoo yun. We have in law what we call a prescriptive period. So depending on what the offense is or what the case is, if it's civil, there's a certain number of years that the law gives for you to pursue the case. So cases like serious physical injuries, that takes many years before they prescribe. Next is being able to use a dash cam or a bike cam on the road. I don't think that's a violation of the Data Privacy Act. However, just to clarify, if you're let's say there's an altercation on the road and you're filming it. This, the earlier example where the person from the car got down and started threatening you. Of course, that's covered by one of the exceptions on data privacy. Because if it's a crime or something like that happening in a public place, talaga naman pwede yun i-record. However, just to be complete in terms of the context, if it's a private conversation between two private persons, under the anti-wiretapping law, you would need to get consent. So iba yun. And if you're recording something in public and then you're gonna post it later, what I would suggest is you blur the image, the faces of other people who are not involved. Kasi baka sila rin ay magreklamo kasi wala naman silang involvement dun sa incident. CCTV, yes, it's always good to request, but I suggest you consult, you get some legal advice. It's more effective if it's the lawyer who requests for the preservation of CCTV evidence than if it's just a private person. And one last point lang. I don't know if there's anyone from the LTO here.
No.
Kasi maganda sana kung sa exam nila for all new drivers, I've not ever seen an exam that includes respect for bikers or what should you do, what are the rules of the road as far as bikers are concerned. Recently, I had to renew my driver's license. Ang dami nilang tanong about motorcycles, but again, I didn't find it relevant because it was about what's the specific requirements of certain kinds of motorcycles. And I felt, anong pakinang ordinary driver doon? But if the driver's license exam could be used to educate, that would be great. To educate drivers about how to deal with bicyclists and even motorcycles. Tingin ko mas magiging effective yun. I really don't understand how they devised the exam that I took last year or the year before. Thank you.
Right. Any more?
Sir, just an addition with respect to the points ni Ma'am po kanina. With respect to the implementation of a bike champion with respect sa WCPC po, we will look into that na mag-place po ng bike champion not only with respect to the WCPC and other services po ng PNP. So we note that po yung suggestion nyo na yun. And with respect doon po sa in addition po doon sa sinabi ni Attorney Shell kanina, in the absence of the barangay, you can go directly po sa PNP. So ano po ang gagawin nyo sa PNP, sa police station po? Pupunta po kayo doon, you have yung circumstance po ninyo or yung crime that has been committed, you record that by way of blotter. And for that, pwede po kayong humingi ng blotter excerpts, ang tinatawag po doon. Yung blotter excerpts po na yon, you can use that in the future if kung nagbago po yung isip ninyo na mag-file ng case na yon. Again, that is in relation with the prescriptive period as mentioned ni Attorney Shell po kanina. Every crime po kasi merong prescriptive period. So be sure that the filing of the case is within the prescriptive period po. So para hindi po masayang yung record natin and other pieces of evidence na nagather natin during the crime was committed. Okay po? Thank you.
Sir, I was follow-up lang. I was just wondering if merong specific campaigns sa loob ng Philippine National Police in terms of raising awareness sa bikers' rights. Kasi as we've heard, no, very specific and very particular yung mga cases na nararanasan namin on the road.
Not really limited po sa with respect to the rights and rights ng mga bikers natin, but we have this unit from the Philippine National Police, yung pong aming tinatawag na Police Community Relations, and wherein we address all the concerns within the community, not only limited lang po sa mga bikers rights and advocates. So, we venture lahat po ng avenues with respect to the issues and concerns ng community at hand. Thank you.
Okay, we have questions over here.
Oh, thank you. My name is Ian Noche. My question is about the Batas Bisikleta. So, this effort is highly commendable because I think a comprehensive national law on bicycles will covering all our concerns is the greatest answer that we can get from this. However, as early as 2004, we already have pending. We have bills pending sa Congress, sa Senate. But since then, kung i-check natin yung website nila, all are pending in committee level. So, with the AltMobility existing since 2018, would you know or do you have any idea on the objections on the part of our lawmakers bakit hindi siya mailusot? So this issue siguro kasing tanda na to ng issue ng same-sex marriage kasi 2 decades na ang pinag-uusapan natin. So I would like to know if you have idea in lobbying this cause. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So as I've mentioned, back in 2018, when we started, we filed yung Commuter Bill of Rights. It was an attempt to standardize the way that our streets are designed in order for it to be more inclusive. No? Unfortunately, I think we filed it also ahead of its time. And so right now what we're doing is we're trying to break that piece of legislation down into smaller pieces of legislation so that it might be easier to pass or would probably be a lot less complicated to discuss. Together with Attorney Jay, actually, uma-attend kami pareho ng technical working group because at the moment there is a bill filed in Congress called the Philippine Bicycle Act. What it aims to do is to standardize how bikers will be treated on the road, what would be the correct size, proper regulations for putting protected bike lanes. And then by protected bike lanes, that's class 2. Yun yung at the very least may orange bollards to ensure na hindi mape-penetrate or hindi ma-obstruct yung bike lanes, no?
And also, just to add, I think merong opportunity to push for legislation now kasi magmi-midterm elections. So we can push our lawmakers, diba? We can demand, kasi got issue to eh. So since it's a growing movement and mag-election, alam naman natin pag mag-election na, it's an opportunity for many advocates.
So, pero a reminder lang because I think Attorney Chell is leaving at 4:30. So if we can have all the questions for Attorney Chell, like siguro last 1 or 2. So, but sige, Ira.
Just to wrap up, so right now, the latest on that is that there is a consolidated substitute bill. Kasi ang dami nung nag-file sa House of Representatives. So the work that we've been doing together with the DOTR, who's here with us today, is consolidating all of those versions into one bill. So that's where we are right now. And we have the commitment naman of the Committee on SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, that we will have a hearing on it very soon. So, sorry, let's just prioritize muna questions for Attorney Chell before he leaves.
Anyone? Sige, over there.
We have a question on this side of the floor.
Yes, we also have from the app.
Okay.
So,
sorry, was there a question on this side? Wala. Ayun. Sino yung may question kay Attorney Chell? Sorry. If you can just raise your hand.
Okay, wait. Sige. Kasi we also have one who sent kasi through the app. Okay. Pwede rin yun.
Hi, good afternoon, Attorney Chell, to the panelists. Sir Ira, good afternoon. Thank you for organizing this event. By the way, I'm Lawrence. I'm also a lawyer by profession. I have a question to Attorney Chell kasi right now I'm handling a pro bono case involving a cyclist and a motor vehicle incident. It was already decided by the MTC. I just wanted to pick your brain regarding dun sa Año Nuevo case po na na-mention nyo kanina. Kasi particularly in this case, this is a woman cyclist who was brave enough to file the complaint against the vehicle driver. And I was saddened by the decision of the court kasi it ended up na blaming her during the incident. Basically, what the court said there is it's applying the same standards ng driving obligations ng drivers to the cyclists, whereas we know for a fact that the circumstances of a cyclist and a driver is different. Of course, yung Año Nuevo case na rin po yung nagsabi no na cars are expected to be more dutiful in their driving. I just wanted to pick your brain there kasi I'm working on that theory na it was wrong for the court to apply that same standards for drivers for the cyclists. What do you think po, Attorney Chel?
Well, it's very difficult for me to really answer your question, given that there's so much evidence that I don't know.
Yeah.
But just on general terms, I think that that principle should apply only as far as respecting traffic rules and regulations is concerned. Beyond that, it's really hard for me to say anything. But thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Chel. And just one question po for the PNP. Good afternoon po from the PNP. I just wanted to ask lang po kung ano po yung insight ninyo regarding the enforcement of bike lane violations. Kasi I've been bike commuting since nung 2022 po. Before, nakakakita pa po ako ng apprehensions. Ngayon, napansin ko po, totally wala. Especially now na there were some pronouncement from certain agencies proposing to scrap it altogether. So I suppose it's also discouraging other bike commuters. So I just wanted to ask for some insights from the PNP about this.
Thank you, Attorney. I just like to clarify, biking fines po ba yung tanong mo, Attorney? Bike lane violations. Okay. Yung bike lane violations po natin for now is limited within the city ordinances that is in place within the city or municipality. So like what Sir Ira po kanina na sinasabi niya po na there is this Philippine Bicycle Act na right now is under the TWG po ng House of Representatives. Hopefully this Philippine Bicycle Act will have its enforcement sana para magkaroon po tayo ng national law that which will be enforceable sa lahat. So, in fact, uniformity of enforceability na yung i-address natin. Not only limited with respect to the absence or presence ng ordinances as the case may be po. For EDSA, sir, I think for now, DOTR ang makakasagot with respect to that. Thank you.
Right. Any more here? Okay. Yes.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Good afternoon. So I'm Regina. So I'm a daily bike commuter also. So before I ask my question, I would like also to share first my experience. So I got into an accident last year. And I would like to commend the traffic enforcer who handled my case. So I was in Julio Vargas, C5 Julio Vargas. And so the traffic enforcer was, I think, commendable for doing his job. So I settled with the motorcycle rider. So he paid me because I got a busted rear tire. So we settled at 10,000 pesos. And then he got a violation ticket. I think, I forgot what's written there, but he got a ticket. And then the traffic enforcer, so I cannot continue with my commute to the office. So I got a ride together with my bike. Okay. And then, so I think it's commendable naman, the traffic enforcer who handled it. So my question now is, so I've been bike commuting for 4 years now. And I can say that the motorcycle riders are more aggressive now compared to before. And I get threats, like maybe once a week. So yung most recent was a motorcycle rider telling me na wag mo nang parang ipilit yung karapatan mo with the bike lane. And then I got also, so sometimes I ride in the bike lane together with the motorcycle rider right beside me. So that's very normal nowadays. And then somebody also told me na, kung di ka lang babae, alam mo yon yung like, parang I will get something out of it, yung mga ganon. So where do I direct these threats like that, sir? Can I go to the PNP with the documentation that I receive it?
Yes po. Kagaya po ng sinabi ko kanina, you can go directly po sa PNP or any police station as the case may be for you to record what happened po. And on that note, pwede po kayong kumuha ng blatter excerpts for purposes of recording. And that the blatter excerpt serves as documentation of what had happened doon po sa inyong kaso. Yan po. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, sige. All right. Okay. For Attorney Chell? Oh, okay. Sige. Maybe we can ask the ones for General Nazar later. Yes. Sige po. For Attorney Chell. Yeah. Hi. Sorry,
Hi.
Attorney Chell is on mute. I think si Attorney Chell is saying something.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a question po for you. Is it okay, Iwan? Maybe, how much time po do you have? Sorry, so many
Perhaps
questions.
I could take one more question.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay, go ahead, ma'am. Name, please, also.
Hi, I'm Ayan. I've been bike commuting for roughly 3 years. Ano pong gagawin pag hindi motorista yung kaaway? Pedestrian po yung nanghaharas sa akin. What happened specifically is I was biking home to BGC like at the end of the day, gabi na to. Tinulak po ako ng security guard ng mall. Not in the like aggressive like bad way. It was more nakita niya ako. Kakatawid ko lang ng BGC bridge. So obviously that takes effort. So while going up across a newly opened mall, like uphill, I was slow because I was tired. So yung form niya of help was just like nalampasan ko na siya. Di ko siya kita kasi nasa likod siya. He just pushed me up. Like he grabbed the rack of my bike, so because I had a like rack and basket. So that also like, what do I do when I feel violated because the basket like pushed against like my butt, which like why are you touching me without consent? So ganun po yung like pedestrian po yung kaaway ko sa daan.
If the incident, for example, were inaway kayo ng pedestrian, minura kayo, or threats were made to you, or there was some form of verbal discrimination because you're a woman, then it's you would still have a cause of action. You could file a case against that person. In that particular incident, I'm not too sure what cause of action you would have. If his intention was only to help, I mean, it was perhaps uncalled for him to even hold your bike kasi hindi naman kanya yon, hindi naman niya naman niya kilala. But again, the issue if you're going to file a civil or criminal case would be what injury did you suffer? If it's a criminal case, then there would be two basic requirements. One is that the intent was a criminal intent, no, yung masama yung intention niya, and the second is that you would have had to suffer some form of injury. Now, if something more severe was done, that was obviously and clearly constituted some kind of psychological violence against you as a woman, then pausi yun. But in your case, I don't think that it would qualify. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Pa.
Just an addition with respect to the Ma'am, I just would like to clarify. Security officer po yung naka...
Opo, he
sagot
was
natin niya.
directing
Well,
parking from
Okay.
the road to the mall.
Okay po. In addition to these would-be civil or criminal cases that may be filed, you can run after for a administrative case for possible revocation nung security license po ng security officer natin. You can go po sa civil security group or yung tinatawag nating SOSA or Supervisory Office for Security and Investigation Agencies. You can file a complaint there po, particularly stating yung circumstances kung ano po nangyari, and that would lead to a possible revocation ng security license ng security officer.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So Attorney Chell, would you, pwede bang one more or wala na po talaga kayong time?
Okay. Huling hirit na yan. Ito na
Oh my
lang.
God, super last na dami kasi. Great questions kasi. Sige po.
Good afternoon to everyone. Eto no, na-obserbahan ko sa mga kalsada ngayon, some of the motorists, walang respeto sa sa mga taong gumagamit ng pedestrian lane. Minsan tumatawid ka na sa pedestrian lane, bigla pang hahatawin ka ng sasakyan. Like me at one time, I was a cyclist, I'm dismounted from my bike, walking along the pedestrian lane. Some of the motorists, hindi na nga sila nagme-minor. Sige pa rin ang takbo nila. Parang wala silang pakialam sa pedestrian lane. That is what I observe nowadays. And another thing, may mga taong gumagamit ng bike lane, no? Minsan kasabay nila mga nakamotor. They're running across the bike lane. Ginagawa nila parang expressway ang bike lane eh. So what should we do about this? About this motorist?
Yung pong sa pedestrian lane, dapat talaga igagalang nila yung mga tumatawid. And if anyone is injured because of what the cars do, talagang may kaso yan. Dapat kasuhan yon. Dapat may pananagutan po sila. Pagdating naman po sa bike lane, talagang pang bisikleta lang po dapat ang bike lane. Ito lang, medyo siguro marami rin nagkalituhan dahil may recent announcement, I think it was the MMDA na nagsabi na pinag-aaralan daw nila na pwede na rin daw ang mga motorcycle doon. But for me, it's not a good idea to have bicycles and motorcycles using the same lane. In the first place, the same principle na sinabanggit ko kanina, yung mas malaki ang destructive capability ng kotse, yun din naman ang applicable sa mga motorcycle. Kasi may motor sila eh. Kaya nga hiniwalay ang mga bisikleta dahil it's a total human energy effort and you really can't cause much damage as a bicyclist. But a motorcycle could still cause a lot of damage to bicyclists. Ayun po. Salamat po.
All right. With that,
Thank
marami
you.
pong salamat, Attorney Chell. A round of applause for Attorney Chell for sharing with us his expertise. Super thank you po for giving us your time. Right.
Thank you. Paalam.
Sige po. Okay, so the rest of the time, I think marami po tayong tanong for General Nazar for the PNP. So ito na po, parang hot seat. Medyo ganun. From the app po, no, we have a question from Christine. So this is really for the PNP. No? Sabi po ni Christine, when we reported to the police about a road rage case involving my partner, we felt very unsupported by the police. And we were even gaslit by saying, dapat ni-record nyo. Question, are there steps the PNP are taking to support cyclists that were victimized on the road because we did not feel supported at all by the police? Yun po. Sige po.
Well, again, siguro just a point of clarification.
Sorry po. Hello po. Good afternoon. Ako po si Christine, pero di po talaga pangalan ko. Couldn't access the app eh. Sorry. So, hello po. Ako po si Christine. Anyway. Ayun po. To add context lang po dun sa tanong kong yun. Yung nangyari po kasi involved my partner. She was cycling alone sa McKinley Road. She was sideswiped by a high ace driver. So syempre, tayo mga siklista, reasonable ba na pakyuhin natin pag ginanon? Yes, di ba? Sorry po for my French. And yun yung nangyari. Ang ginawa ngayon ng driver, binaba siya, hinawakan yung bike niya, hinarangan siya from going away, at dinuraan pa siya sa muka. So ang ginawa po namin, pumunta kami sa BGC, pumunta kami sa women's desk, and reported there. We were told, di po namin jurisdiction yan, pumunta po kayo sa Makati. And we went there. Nireport namin, na-blatter namin, pero doon na natapos yun. Ang sinabi sa aming prescription ay, pumunta kayo sa Forbes, sa Barangay Forbes Park, at mag-file kayo ng blatter doon. Ngayon po, gusto ko lang pong ipinta yung eksena. Traumatized po yung partner ko. Noong time po ngayon, nanginginig siya. Pangalawa, palipat-lipat kami ng presinto, still on our bicycles kasi sariwa pa yung insidente, kailangan ma-report agad. Pero nung nandun po kami sa pulis, number one, hindi po namin naramdaman na nasuportahan kami. Pangalawa, wala pong simpatsya na naramdaman. Pangatlo, yung burden of proof po nga po, na ginaslight pa kami at sinabihan, bakit hindi nyo ni-record? Gusto ko lang pong malaman, ang tanong, meron po bang mga steps na ginagawa ang PNP to support and ensure the safety of cyclists na hinaras ng mga tao? This includes po yung sensitivity nila pagdating sa pagdeal ng mga kasong ganito. Yung maramdaman po ng biktima na tutulungan sila ng pulis hanggang maresolba yung kasong yun. Kasi ho, sa totoo lang po, yung insidente pong yun ay nasira ang tiwala ko para sa PNP. Ayun lang po. Maraming salamat po sa pagdalo rito.
Sige po. We are saddened po doon sa mga bad experiences po ninyo with respect to the reporting of a certain crime sa atin pong police station, as the case may be po. But in as far as yun pong police operational procedure po natin, we have this police operational procedure which is a manual po na sinusunod po ng ating mga kapulisan with respect to a particular crime for purposes of investigation and reporting. Now po, siguro yung nangyari po sa inyo on the initial assessment po ng investigator on case, that would fall doon sa barangay cases. Meron po kasing tinatawag na barangay cases na if the case is 1 year or less, based on penalty po, as mentioned ko po kanina, we also encourage settlement po. But on that case po sa inyo, sir, nagkaroon po ng direct referral sa inyo sa barangay. Pero actually, that is not nga po na direct referral, but sinabi lang sa inyo na pumunta kayo doon sa barangay, no? Ano po. On that note, dapat po nagkaroon ng formal referral by way of writing doon sa opo. So, yes po. We are saddened that hindi po yan yung ginawa sa inyo. But again po, ano na po yung nangyari sa case, sir? Ano na po nangyari in particular?
Okay, sir, hindi na namin pinursu. Siyempre ho, sasabihin nyo dapat pinursu pa namin. Pero
yes,
kasi ho, after nung insidente na yun, nawala na po kami ng, shall we say, motivation. Kasi parang wala rin naman mangyayari. Even if we file the blotter, even if we file a case, pati sa barangay at sa police, sinabi rin sa amin na since hindi nyo alam yung plate number, wala kami magagawa. Since hindi nyo kilala yung ano, wala. May plate na, sorry, ikaw pala.
Yes, yes, hello po. Ako po si Ali. Ako po yung hinaras ng isang, actually Toyota Avanza siya sa McKinley Road. Pauwi ako from a mall, tapos basta sinideswipe niya ako. Siyempre pag, when you're threatened for your life, parang, parang naganon ko siya. So parang sorry, that was my fault. But also, ayun, dahil doon binabaan niya ako. Pero anyway, I actually was able to take a photo of him. Pero hindi ko na nakuhanan ng video yung yung pangharas niya sa akin. Tapos parang hinawakan pa niya yung bike ko, parang ayaw niya ako paalisin. Tapos, ayun, parang naging super traumatizing siya for me. Buti na lang I had friends in BGC, so umiyok-iyok na lang ako doon. And then I had to go to, first, the police station in BGC. And then the people there basically said, no, this is not our jurisdiction. So I had to bike all the way through the spot of the incident where the traumatizing incident took place to the Makati police station beyond Ayala Avenue. So yun. So anyway, parang dahil na lang po doon, I never leave my house without this kasi, you know, and I still get incidents like that. Pero alam mo yun, parang ngayon, ang hirap na lang kasi emotionally to be able to pursue, parang especially if the first step you pursue is you don't feel supported. So parang yun lang din.
Yes, ma'am. We understand yung feeling of disappointment, no? But in as far as follow-up investigation is concerned po, as you have mentioned, naplakahan nyo na po. Naplakahan nyo na yung vehicle. Okay.
Binigay po namin sa dun sa police station sa Makati. Tapos parang, I think if I remember correctly, they said they were going to look into it and I could get back to them. Pero yun na nga parang, I think, I remember the officer there also said na, parang wala ka namang evidence na nangyari yun. So parang it's unlikely we'll able to pursue further. Kasi parang ako lang naman yung, it's just my account. And then I have pictures of that incident, but you know, there's no proof na hinaras niya ako.
Yes. Opo, with respect doon sa circumstances na sinabi nyo kanina na naplakahan nyo na, we can help you po kung sino malaman natin yung registered owner ng motor vehicle na yon. And kami po sa PNP, particularly the Highway Patrol Group, we are glad to help you po. You can go sa Highway Patrol Group po sa Camp Crame. So kung any matter or any follow-up investigation as the case may be na we could also help you, even the filing of the case as the case may be po, we will help you po. Okay?
Sir Attorney Sanchez, and for General Nazaro, maybe you can provide us with a copy of the police precinct process and the hotline for HPG. We can share it to everyone here after this event. I-share po namin. Para alam po, we can help you also monitor how disciplined your own enforcers are with following that process.
Yes,
right? We have a question from Pio Tiklop po sa app. Can we have a definite government position?
Hello, I'm lamig dito. I'm Pio from Tiklop Society of the Philippines. Kanina pa minimension yung EDSA, di ba? Can we have a definitive position ng government about this? Kasi importante itong artery na to eh. It's the easiest way for many bikers from Makati going to QC and all that. And we cannot lose that. So ano yung position ng government? Sir, may
well, in as far as the entire government is concerned po, as we have mentioned po kanina, there is a proposed bill pertaining to the Philippine Bicycle Act po. Right. Well, that is the uniform concern po ng government natin to address all your issues po. Hopefully, this Philippine Bicycle Act po maipasa na, and then later on this will be enforceable, and magkakaroon naman po ito ng IRR with respect to the proper enforcement ng mother law po kung sakali. So, in as far as the thrust of the government, which is, I know, there are already in place, ayun po yung inaay natin, tinitingnan natin, yung passage na Philippine Bicycle Act.
Yes, sir, I understand that. But ang tanong ko specifically itong EDSA, we cannot lose this. Kasi, ito yung pinaglaban natin years ago pa eh. And this is one positive thing na nagawa ng pandemic eh, na producing bike lanes. No? So, wala pa tayong position. I understand yung PNP, no? Yung position nyo, and that is good news. But itong MMDA, are they... Hindi na magsasalta ng expletive dito. Pero I'm sure all of us do not want to lose EDSA. So gawin natin lahat para...
For sure. We're continuing our engagement with the National government agencies. In fact, AltMobility together with Move As One, we sit in the Interagency Technical Working Group for Active Transportation, chaired by the Department of Health, with the Department of Transportation and the Department of Public Works and Highways, NEDA, aside from other national government agencies. And actually, very recently, the Department of Health issued the statement supporting active transportation. And then a few weeks before that, nag-issue rin ng statement ang Department of Transportation supporting the importance of active transportation and in preparing the necessary infrastructure for it. I'm not going to put them on the spot, but we have our friends here from the Department of Transportation, whom we personally know is behind and in supporting the creation of active transportation infrastructure.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, about MMDA lang, no? Kasi, dati yun, di ba, kaibigan natin ng MMDA. We have, yung mga past administrations ng MMDA, we have worked side by side. Sana, makontinue lang yun. Diba? They listen to us, we listen to them, and that's it. Diba? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sige, so it's already 4:56. Time check lang. We have maybe can take a few more, maybe 1 to 2 questions from the audience. Would anyone want to ask? Sige.
Question at the back.
Yes.
Okay. I'm Mark. I live in Quezon City. And I'm not sure if these are valid questions, but most of the time I commute along Katipunan Avenue. I have to get there through I have to get through Elliptical Road, which some of the parts there, including the right side along Quezon Avenue and Commonwealth, they're not protected at all. There are several people there that are authorities by the local government, but they do not really help. On the other hand, I use the overpass connecting from Luzon Avenue to Old Balara. Unfortunately, that overpass is not bike protected lane. So my question is, what will I do if I choose not to go to bike protected lanes? If I got into an accident, what do I do if in case na may mangyari sa akin? God forbid, may mangyari sa akin if that's the case.
Thank you. Siguro this will be best addressed with yung pamphlet natin. No? Yung pamphlet po natin, yung bisikleta. Ito, Batas Bisikleta, yung kanina. Ito po, sir, if you do have a copy. Now, with respect doon sa degree ng care that you will exercise, you should exercise extraordinary diligence. Siguro po. And extraordinary care in traversing po doon sa any road na hindi po siya bike friendly or bike protected area, as you have mentioned po. Thank you.
A last question? Oh my gosh, I'm done.
We have a question here, and then one more question on this side.
Is it
Go
going to
ahead,
be a
Thais.
question?
No,
Or
go ahead,
okay,
Thais.
okay. Because I don't have a question per se, but I'm going to share a manifestation because we see parallels in how hard it is, the struggles of LGBTQIA+ and human-powered mobility advocacy. So I just want to say this because so that you have perspective that we see how hard it really is to come across as a human on the road at the same time as a person who is LGBTQIA+. Yes. Intersectionality is also a transport word. Surprise. Both have to contend with challenging a hardwired reality, car-centrism and sex and gender conservatism. Both things they find impossible to change their minds. Both are dehumanized, deserving of the harm they cause themselves because of their quote-unquote lifestyle choices. Both have an ongoing push years and years in the making to have laws to recognize and defend their rights. Bicycle Act and the SOGI Equality Bill, 24 years in the making already. Both find it so hard to get people to simply share a space. But we also both see our futures changing in the shifting of people's opinions and perspectives through communicating these concepts to the youth, to the point of Miss Jerry earlier. Both see hope in a world where true equality exists, where diversity in mobility and sex and gender is not only celebrated, but defended. Incredibly, my own gender identity, transgender, and transportation share the same Latin prefix. Both pertain to journeys, taken and both hoping that we always arrive safely in a world that respects our shared humanity. Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, so for our last question, we have the gentleman over here.
Hi, so good afternoon to everyone. I'm Jolo from University of the Philippines. We're from National College of Public Admin Governance. So basically, we're in collaboration, me and my partner, we're in collaboration with QCLGU because our studies is mainly focused on transportation itself, active transportation. And we're focusing on the Quezon City Bike Lane Network. So basically, from the fellow sir, for the fellow biker earlier, our concern, my question is for PNP, since before Katipunan Avenue has this physical barrier or Class 2A, as some people know here, before it was just the plastic barriers, the orange ones that we see. Tapos, as a biker myself, nakikita namin sa biker communities in Katipunan na sinasadya talagang sanggain yung barriers before it was a pavement today. So, nakikita din namin na may mga police around sa Katipunan and they're doing nothing. So parang na-harm din naman yung safety namin as bikers. Mostly, the students in Katipunan Avenue since there's a lot of bikers in all the universities around Katipunan. So, paano po yun? Paano yung sa PNP na nandun lang sila pero nakikita nila na sinasangginan ng mga sasakyan yung mga barriers na yun?
Well, we take note on that circumstances po. Personally, hindi ko siya masagot kasi that is personal to those police officers rendering duty with respect to the AOR. So, saan po yan nangyari? Katipunan. So, we will take note on that po and we will, sige po, Quezon City po. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so on that note, may pasundot si Ma'am Karen. Sige po. Super last.
Injury po ulit.
One last lang, sorry. General Nazaro, your opening remarks were very inspiring when you also mentioned that that cycling as a primary mode of transportation and the benefits of cycling. My question is, would the whole PNP also have a copy of your opening remarks so that they can share that, say, your opinion and your thoughts on cycling so that we can lessen car centricity in the organization? And also for everyone who organized this, thank you very much. We truly appreciate this. But at the same time, will you be able to conduct something similar for car clubs, the LTO, the MMDA, to prevent, again, car centricity? Because I feel that we're also preaching to the choir here, because not that we aren't aware of what was presented here, it was very, very informative, but at the same time, I do believe if we are going to really help ourselves, we need to really work together with the other groups that are antagonizing us and bullying us off the road and our rights on the road. But thank you again to everyone here. We truly, truly appreciate this.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Karen.
I think our goal for today was really inspired by what transpired at the Senate one hearing when we were beside the victim of a road rage, and he shared how he felt that it was really his fault, that he should not have insisted on his rights, no, and that really triggered for us the need for bikers to be made aware of our rights on the road. So I guess yun muna yung unang checkbox to make sure that as bikers, we know that we have as much right, if not more rights on the road as road users. But definitely, we are reaching across the aisle, across the lanes, to also have this opportunity to talk to motorists. We have a good partnership with some car-based publications, and we will also be reaching out to them to make sure that that car owners also understand that the things that they do on the road, such as push us off, yell us out, have criminal implications for them. So thank you for bringing that up, Karen.
And Rappler will continue to have events like this because we have literal talk about Make Manila Livable, but part of it are really events where we will invite more government officials to things like this, to fora like this. So target namin LTO, MMDA, DUTR, DPWH, even Malacanang. So please do attend our events. We will keep you updated on them. And please ask your questions whenever we do have fora like this. Yes?
I just would like to react on your comment. Actually, almost all members of the Philippine National Police are bike lovers. If you could see, we have these bike patrols. In almost regions, we have that bike patrols. Most especially those areas that are securing the tourist destination areas. Normally, ang mga service nila doon are bike. So we know how it feels to ride a bike. So we are not only used of these big bikes, but we are also using the bicycles.